All right. I thought I would discuss something that's important to me personally. Um, and it may or may not be helpful to other people, but I want to share this stuff anyways. So basically, there's a round of YouTube channels that I listen to for Christianity stuff and so on. Um, Let me just load up the list real quick. Sorry, I thought it would be quicker. Uh, Okay, I'll just list them off by memory basically because I just typed it out. Um, so first off, I listened to Desiring God, and I listened to Canon Press, Blog in My Blog, and Christchurch. Not Christchurch, USA, but Christchurch, which is those last three are Doug Wilson's particular area and so on. Desiring God is Jonathan Piper. I also listen to Ascension Presents, and Sundays with Ascension, who's Father Mike Schmitz, for the most part. And he's got a monk that sometimes does videos as well. Like, I don't know his name, but I think he's redhead with glasses, and he's got a bulkier build. Um, and then there's Bishop Barron, with two R's in Barron. And there's an O after the R's, not an E. So it's not barren as in like no fruit. It's like barren as in like a ruler, except with two R's instead of one. Um, I listened to the monk's writings from the YouTube channel Athonite Audio, and there's one that's really the video that got me onto it is called Silouan the Athonites, Chapter 10, Spiritual Trials, and it's a 10, not a TEN 10. That really helped me out actually in some critical moments. That video, which is why I love the Athonite audiobooks. What else? Well, there's Gavin Ortland, who's a Baptist, but he's an excellent biblical scholar of history and so on. Less often I listen to Father Moses or Father Spiridon. There's something about Orthodoxy that, like, the thing about all these denominations is that rubs me the wrong way in some fashion, a little bit in one way or another. So I can't pick a denomination necessarily. I like to learn from all these people that I mentioned, at least here and there. Um, as for other videos or YouTube channels, there's okay, I got the list up soon. There we go. Now we got it. Now, all of those four are Calvinist, Catholic, Orthodox, and Baptist denominations. Then there's the YouTube channel Spurgeon Sermon Series. And that's basically a video compilation channel of someone reading Charles Spurgeon's sermons. Next up is C.S. Lewis. I've read, I think, all but one or two of his serious books, and or listened to an audiobook of them and so on. So, like, you go to C.S. Lewis Doodle or C.S. Lewis Essays or something, and like those channels will have his work. I've done more than my fair share of. I've read Lord of the Rings like 3 or 4 times in my life, and I'm 40. Well, I'm 39. But it helps to understand how Tolkien interwove Celtic, Nordic, and Christian themes into the books, and so on, and influences. Um, Jonathan Pageau and Jordan Peterson are good. Peterson is very psychology oriented. He's not necessarily religious, but he began the quote unquote re-enchantment of the world in the West, the move away from pure materialism and so on. He's the kickstarter of that whole process in wider society and so on, really. And Jonathan Pageau is kind of carrying on the legacy in his own way. More Christ-oriented. Definitely, he's Orthodox himself, but he has some very good analysis from a Christian perspective of like structures of the universe and so on. He explains things in a fairly loose way, but at the same time you kind of understand what he's getting at roughly, and it's like that's kind of what his thing is, and he's like talking about all these topics and stuff and playing with them and stuff like that. He's got a comic called Dog's God, or God's Dog, sorry, about Saint Christopher, and it's not a deconstruction. It's more of a reconstruction or reimagining of like the story of Saint Christopher. But like his comic is the reimagining, but he actually discusses in his videos the actual story, the typical historical story of Saint Christopher, or like the variations of it. So he's not like just like erasing history. He's actually talking about both his creation and the history. Now, Bible Project and Impact Ministries, Impact Ministries, or Impact Ministries Video. I can't remember what it's called exactly, but basically Impact Ministries. They're fairly good. They're reasonably simple, get into it kind of things and so on. And then there's two channels that are not necessarily very wide-ranging. They're kind of focused on a certain concept most of the time, which is like giving you hope. So they're kind of, I want to say they're sort of stunted in a way, but like it's one of those things that is useful when you need that gospel reassurance in a more elaborated way, or something that like accounts for all the things that you could possibly be. They've given me comfort, even if they're not like the most in-depth, knowledgeable, or official priest or pastors kind of channels. And that is Soulful Devotions and Grow in Faith, Grow in Christ. And with that, that's my list of Christian influences at this point. Kierkegaard. Oh, by the way, there's another channel that's not necessarily entirely Christian, but it plays with some of the stuff too. Is Eternalized. It's Eternalized. I think it's with a Z or an S for the ized part. Like it's like eternalized, like it's like tenderized, eternalized. They're helpful in understanding psychological things and so on fairly well, although it's not totally Christian, but I find them to be useful in understanding the other aspects of potential beliefs and so on in a well-researched and well-presented way as well. And it does have a little bit of that sort of, it's rooted in multiple mythologies, so it's not like it's totally one thing or the other. It's very psychological in a way, but at the same time it's like pointing to something higher a little bit here and there. It's kind of cool. It's not necessarily Christian, but I thought I would include it in my influences because it's actually been really helpful on a personal level. Just like learning to calm down and relax and like relate to other people and so on. And still be like upward aiming and so on. Um, yeah, yeah. Um, so those are my influences that are roughly Christian, at least for Eternalized and Jordan Peterson, and definitely Christian for the rest of them. Um, yeah, I just thought I'd share that, and I would also add one more thing, which is the movie Mad God is a horror show. But in essence, what it's portraying is God sending prophets to earth to destroy Satan before Jesus Christ emerges as the one that blows it all up. It's a theological movie, basically. Yeah. If you want to understand how you'd view going from heaven to earth, um, and what it would look like to you in a way, um, Mad God is kind of the video for it. Um, or like yeah, it's sort of it's shocking, but it's a passion project of someone's, and I respect it. And I didn't have an understanding of what it was really about necessarily for a little while, so it was just disturbing. But when you contextualize it in regards to a prophet of God setting up the explosion that destroys Satan in hell, um, it's sort of it's a dark, humorous kind of nod to the Old Testament.